Okay, everybody, welcome back. And this time we're joined for the fourth time by Stan Solo from The Solo Show and also the Grand Circle Tour podcast. And one reason I wanted Stan to come back and talk about this, and there's so many other topics that I want to talk with Stan about also, but one reason I wanted him to come back now is Stan has made several solo trips to Walt Disney World. And he has talked a lot about how to do that on a budget and how to do it without spending a large amounts of money that typically would happen on, say, maybe a big family vacation. And so this episode in particular, Stan's going to talk with us about how do you go to Walt Disney World and how do you be budget friendly when you're doing it. So we'll go ahead, we'll get right into it. Stan, thanks again for joining us. Just real quick recap in case people haven't seen or listened to another episode that you're on. Can you give us the quick recap of your fandom, the solo show, the Grand Circle Tour podcast? Bring us up to date.
So, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. I was wondering what your thought process. Let's see, I need to find somebody that's budget friendly. Who do I know that's cheap? Stan's cheap. I'll get him on the show. that's who I'll
See,
get.
that is exactly what I didn't want people to feel like. That's the exact thing that I was afraid of.
No, but
So
you know what though? Like I got to tell you. Okay, so I'm from Canada. The Canadian dollar doesn't go very far in the U.S.
yeah.
So I got that strike against me. I don't have a high paying job. I work in a grocery store. I'm not making big bucks. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a doctor or a surgeon. Uh, I can't afford to be staying at these luxury hotels, but I do love going to Disney, and I can do it on a budget, and I do it on a budget every time. And I've gone some years. I've gone 4 times in one year. Other times it's like I have to cut back for whatever reason, and I'll go like once a year, once every 2 years. But every time
Mhm,
I do, I don't break the bank. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna go in debt for a vacation,
mhm.
and that's something I think is very important for people to learn is to not go in debt. The solo show. Let's talk about the solo show. So the solo show is it's kind of a weekly, bi-weekly. It's more of a bi-weekly podcast, and every week it's a solo show. I'm on there by myself, but I always have somebody else on. I have a guest on, kind of like your show. You have you or your podcast, you have a guest on, or two or three or four, and if you want to be stupid, seven. But yeah, and it's all a big, it's always something different topics all the time, but they're always pretty much Disney, Star Wars, Marvel related. And in the Grand Circle Tour podcast, there's seven of us, and like I said, you can't. It's very hard to do a podcast with seven people on, so we're
Mhm.
not all on at the same time. We switch off. It's a schedule that we make. So each week when you turn in, you don't know or tune in, you don't know who the host is going to be, who the co-hosts are going to be, but it's going to be one of us seven or three of us seven. Pretty much is always three of us seven, and it's a weekly podcast. Disney, Marvel, Pixar. We go into movies. We go to Disney Plus. We go all over the place. Uh, Adventures by Disney, Disney Cruise Line, pretty much anything. The odd time we do a Universal show.
Mm, yeah.
I'm not involved in those. I put my hand up. But yeah, so that's pretty much it in a nutshell. It's your standard fare Disney podcast.
Okay. All right. Well, awesome. Thanks again for the recap. And let's before or when I reached out to Stan, I kind of sent a list of, hey, let's go through things like getting to Disney, where how to get if you're flying in, how to get from the airport to your hotel, where to stay, what type of park tickets do you want to get? Do you want to get single day, multi-day? And so let's get right into it. Stan has been gracious enough to do a lot of preparation for this. So the first thing let's talk about is just the preparation before you when you actually make the decision. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to go. Um, how do you get started in that process?
Okay, so you have to realize Walt Disney World is a machine. It's a monster. It's huge. It's not you're not just going to go there and hang out and make things up as you go along. You have to plan, you have to prepare. And if you don't want to spend the time, the money, the effort into preparing, my number one suggestion right off the hop is to get a travel agent, a dedicated Disney travel agent, and it should be a travel agent that you're not paying for. A lot of people think that I can't afford a travel agent. The trip is costing me enough already. But no, like we're sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel on the Grand Circle Tour podcast, so that's who I deal with. That's who I go with, and I've been dealing with MEI even before they were our sponsor. But I don't pay my travel agent anything. Disney actually pays the travel agent. And what's great about having a travel agent is they're on top of all the specials, all the special codes that Disney might have, or discounts. And if you have a proper travel agent, they'll watch out those discounts for you and apply them to your vacation before you even know that they are coming, or even before you have them. And I've had times where my travel agent would send me an email and she'll say, you know what, I just saved you $200 on your vacation because Disney has a special offer on resort rooms, and I applied it to your vacation. Sure, I'll save
Yeah.
$200. That sounds good to me. That's, I'll take that room discount that I didn't know about. And that's the type of thing you might just miss if you're booking it on your own. Now, the downside with having a travel agent is you kind of have to stay on Disney property. You have to buy your tickets through your travel agent. So you kind of eliminates. There are discount ticket places where you can purchase tickets, but I don't think the savings outweigh the benefits of having a travel
Yeah.
agent. You know what I mean? So, but if you want to stay off property, we'll get into staying off property. The travel agent might not be the way to go for staying
Okay.
off property. And there's benefits and advantages and disadvantages to staying on or off property. So that's
Eh,
the first one.
Okay. And then as far as you make the decision, you're gonna go with let's say you're gonna go with an agent. Um, what well, and when in your experience, have you seen that for people that are wanting to go for more reasonably price, is it better to stay on property or off property most of the time? Like you just said, like including benefits, what
Yeah.
outweighs the other?
So the great thing about staying on property is all your transportation is included, other than getting to and from the airport. That's a different thing altogether. But
Okay.
once you're on property, you're not paying for a bus, you're not paying for a boat, you're not paying for a Skyliner, you're not paying for a monorail. All that is included. So you're going to get to all the parks for free. Now, if you're staying off property, you have to get to property. So now you're either renting a car or getting an Uber or a Lyft or something like that, a ride share. And that's going to add to the cost of your vacation. It's also going to add to the stress of your vacation.
Yeah.
I had a friend that stayed off property. He rented a car and he was going to Magic Kingdom the first day, and he was driving there and he thought this is easy. There's signs everywhere telling me how to get to Magic Kingdom. At the end of the night, it was dark and it was hot and everybody was tired and he was exhausted. He could not find his hotel. I mean,
Hmm.
he was driving around. He got the Maps app out, and that kind of helped him out. And he was almost got into a couple of accidents. He was kind of sorry he rented a car in
Yeah.
the long run. He kind of what the stress was, he would have rather stayed on property. And there's different levels of property that you could stay on. Now, I always stay at a value resort. I used to stay at a moderate resort. I used to stay at Port Orleans Riverside. That was my go-to resort. But as the prices went up and my wages didn't increase to match it, I started going to Pop Century. Is more or less the one I go to. Uh, I've stayed at the All Stars. I enjoyed the All Stars as well. And actually they remodeled the All Stars now that the rooms are pretty much identical to the rooms at Pop Century. Uh,
Okay.
they're a little bit further away, so it takes you a bit longer to get to the parks. Is something you have to realize. Pop Century has a Skyliner, whereas the All Stars don't.
Hmm.
And then there's the Art of Animation Resort, which they call it a value, but the
Yeah.
prices don't reflect that. They're
Well,
quite
because
expensive.
they're most at the Art of Animation are family suites, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The Little Mermaid sections are single rooms, but the rest
Okay.
of them are going to be suites. So
Okay.
if you have like a larger family, that might be something that you would want to, invest in, is to
Yeah.
stay at a suite. Yeah.
Yeah, we did stay at the Art of Animation once, and it is pretty neat because we got to stay in like the Cars themed, the Cars themed family suite and everything. And it is definitely nice being on the Skyliner, not traveling around. Usually when I go, I or we, the family, are off property. And it is so much less stressful, less work if you are able to get on a bus or a Skyliner or and ride from park to park. That's very, very nice.
Yeah.
Um,
The Disney transportation really is amazing, absolutely amazing. Whether you're taking a bus or whether you're whatever, no matter what you're using, it, it it's incredible that this is offered for free.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so then you made the decision. We're going. We'll get a travel agent. We'll stay on property. Let's go down that track. Um, as far as you made some awesome notes on here, which I think would be really, really good for people because again, this is maybe for people who are going for the first time by themselves. They've gone with their family for most of their life. They haven't really had to think about these things. Now they're having to think about these things. So you have a note on here about how to save money and also getting trip insurance to prepare for the trip. So walk us through that, how before you actually leave, how you're setting yourself up to do this on a budget.
Yeah. So one of the things I strongly suggest is you're not going to book you're not going to book for a month from now
Yeah.
or even 2 months from now. It's going to be a minimum of 6 months from now. And when you make the book and you tell your travel agent, yes, okay, that's great, I'm going to book it, you pay a deposit, and your deposit isn't very much. I think it's like 10% or something like that that you pay.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that. And then you don't have to pay the final amount until you're ready to go or about a month before you go. So it gives you kind of time to save up for it.
Okay.
So there's ways you could do it. You could make a monthly payment or whatever directly to your travel agent, and they'll put it towards the cost. I know some people, they open up a separate bank account. I've done that in the past, where I've opened up a separate bank account, and then from my wages, I had so much go into that bank account. So then when
Okay.
it was time to go for the trip, my trip was paid for. Another thing I used to do, I buy these bottles of water, the jugs of water. It's a $10 deposit for the water, and then the refill the jug is $5. So what I started doing was I was returning the water jugs, two water jugs at a time. I would get a $20 gift card with that
hmm
money that I would get back from the water jugs, and then buy a new water jug for $15, which really didn't make any sense. But I ended up having a bunch of gift cards, or every time I go get my groceries, I pick up a $20 gift card,
Yeah. Yeah.
added to my
Okay.
grocery bill, a Disney gift card, and then I had all these gift cards, and I've actually pretty much paid for all my meals by having all these Disney gift
Okay.
cards with me. You kind of take you'd be afraid to lose that stack of gift cards with the elastic around it.
Yeah.
You're walking around the park, because that's a lot of money
Well,
there.
well, on that note, because we just recently went to Disneyland and we did have gift cards with us. And I was leery to do this, but I didn't end up actually doing it. But have you ever put, multiple gift cards in on one, like you can load everything to one gift card? And I can't remember. Can you even do it in the app now so you can access everything from the app? Have you ever tried that?
I think I tried it once. It went smooth. I'm not sure why I don't do that more often. I know some people that do that though. Like
Okay.
they'll every time they go to Costco, they'll buy $100 gift card, and then they'll you have 15 of these gift cards, and they'll put it all in one gift card.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I've had seen people do that.
Okay.
About fifteen
Okay.
hundred dollars right there. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I have heard people do that. Uh, my problem is I have all these gift cards in my pocket, and then when it's time to pay the bill, I just tap Magic Band, tap Magic Band, tap,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I come home with a pocket full of gift cards.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was where I failed on that. You have to do what works for you. I find
Okay.
that for myself, having that separate bank account and putting that $100 every 2 weeks into that bank account
Okay.
is what works best for me.
Okay.
Trip insurance is something else too. Like I've never gotten trip insurance because I have it built into my credit card.
Okay.
Uh, Disney always wants to sell you trip insurance. Now, trip you can cancel your trip up to a month before you're going and get a refund.
Okay.
Um, you're not booking your flights through Disney, so that trip insurance doesn't count your flights. So I don't understand the purpose of the Disney trip insurance other than now I have used my credit card trip insurance where I've gone and there was a hurricane
Okay.
and I had
Yeah.
to leave early or I had to stay later because the airport was closed and they had to, stick out through the hurricane. I had one time I had a flight with the layover being in Chicago and O'Hara was closed because of a snowstorm. So I had to stay in Disney World a couple extra days. And my credit card insurance covered my hotel room and my meals for those
Okay.
2 extra days I had to stay in Orlando. Oh, poor me, stuck in Disney World for two
Yeah.
extra days. But yeah, the trip insurance through my credit card covered that. So you might want to look into trip insurance because
Okay.
things like that could happen. But kind of, try talk to your agent about it. What is it included? Don't just sign off on it saying, "Yeah, I'll take the trip insurance. It's an extra $100. It might be an extra $100 you can use on Dole Whips."
Yeah. Yeah. They're very important.
Yeah.
Um, so then the next thing you have written down here, choose when to go and the what days to go. One question I have for you is whenever I go, I if I have if I can help it. Like this last time we went, it was kind of set days that we were going to be there, so I didn't rely too much on it. But if I can help it, I'm always looking at the crowd calendars and
Hmm.
I'm trying to look at months that are not the busiest. So when we go, we typically go September or October. Now you go September, it is incredibly hot, but it's just getting hotter and hotter anyway. So no matter when you go, do you use those crowd calendars or how do you decide when to go to Walt Disney World?
Yeah. So I get 7 weeks holidays with my job. I don't get paid very much, but I get 7 weeks holidays a year. So that's paid holidays. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I can go pretty much anytime. I can't take Christmas week off. Christmas week is honestly the worst week to go. Everybody thinks it's going to be so magical.
Yeah.
I'm going to get up in the morning. I'm going to go to the Magic Kingdom, and it's going to be Christmas Day, Christmas morning. Well, the problem is 80,000 other people also
Yeah.
felt the same way. They thought it'd be,
Yeah.
and it's probably one of the most expensive days to go, as well as New
Christmas
Year's
becomes
Day.
very stressful very, very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, and New Year's Day is the same thing. It's the
Yeah.
busiest day of the year. Thanksgiving Day is another one. It's just insanely busy. Everybody's going, and the prices are way more expensive. So I have the luxury of being able to kind of go almost any week that I want. And I can so I like to go the last week of January, first week of February, in that period.
Okay.
The weather's not quite so hot. It's not cold. I don't need a jacket. There has been times when I did need like a hoodie or something. Um, but your hotels are less expensive. Your park tickets are less expensive on those days. And what's great is that park's not as busy on those
Yeah.
days. And yeah, the parks are busy all the time for sure, but Disney knows when the parks are going to be really busy and they know they can charge really a lot of money on those
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
They know the days are going to be a little bit softer and they can charge a little bit less money. The other thing too is like I was looking uh now this is for today's recording. I looked into it and it's going to obviously going to be different if you're listening to this in the future or whatever. But Pop Century for the last week of January, first week of February 2024, if you go Monday to Friday, those 5 days, your average price for your room only is going to be $166 a night.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you go Thursday to Monday, where you include the weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, the same 5 days, it's $194 a night.
Yeah.
So that's like 30 some dollars a night
Yeah.
saving by moving it to weekdays as opposed to weekend.
Yeah.
So that is something to consider too if you're trying to save money. So 30 times 5, that it adds up pretty quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I mean by choosing when to go and what day of the week to go. Is it's always going to be, unless Christmas or Thanksgiving. Well, Thanksgiving won't fall on a Saturday, but but Thanksgiving weekend can be very expensive. New Year's weekend can be very expensive. Christmas week is going to be very expensive. So try to avoid those weeks. Look at the crowd calendars, like you said.
All right, next, getting there. Some people have the luxury of being able to drive or just making the decision to drive
Mm-hmm.
very, very far to get there. But also a lot of people are having to fly. I mean, whenever we go to Walt Disney World, we drive because
Okay.
we're about 12 hours away, a little bit more. When we went to Disneyland, obviously we have to drive. That would have been a multi-day trip just traveling. And so how do you look for flights and making sure you get the best flight for the best price?
Okay. So flights. You want to book them early, but you don't want to book them too early. But the question is, what's too early? What's early? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like if you book, I'm going to fly out tomorrow. I'm buying my flight tomorrow. You'd be paying a premium for the 9 times out of 10. There's an app that I use. It's the Hopper app.
Okay.
And I don't have any sponsorship with Hopper or anything like that. But you plug in what days you want to go and where you want to go and where you're taking off from and when you're going to fly home. And you could set it up and it will notify you what the average or cheapest prices are for that week. And every once in a while, it will, and you could go in there and you could check it and to see if the prices have come down what they are. But it will notify you saying the prices are really, really good right now. Now's the time
Hmm.
to book your flights. So that's something that's very helpful. And then you kind of like, oh, geez, when I get home from work today, I'm going to book my flights because Hopper told me to. And it will even tell you, we suggest you wait, or we suggest you book now. Uh, this is the lowest price we've seen in months. It will give you tips like that. Another thing too is you can kind of search for flights yourself. But what I find is if you log in to your whatever United, WestJet, uh, sorry, I'm Canadian, uh, whatever airlines you guys have, uh, and you search in, I'm going to go from let's say Minneapolis to Orlando in this and such a day, and you keep checking every day, you're going to find that the prices are not going to change. The prices are always going to be pretty expensive, or they're going to go up if anything. And my theory is that they're spying on you. They know that you're
Yeah.
checking these flights, and they're not going to give you a deal. But if you go into incognito mode in Google Chrome and you search cheap flights, and then a flight tab will pop up, and you can click on that flight tab, and then you say where you're going. All the months come up, and you can scroll through each month, and there'll be red ones telling you that it's expensive, more expensive than usual flight, or green ones for where it's less expensive flights. And I find that extremely helpful to kind of give you an idea
Hmm.
as to what prices are. And then what I'll do is I'll kind of, okay, so I'm going to, my flight's 6 months away. So I'll look 4 months from now, the price is $192. But 6 months from now, the price is $204. So in 3 months from now, I'll check it again, and it might come down to that, to the time that I'm wanting to go at the lower price. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You kind of always want to book it when it's green, and then you can click on that date and see which airline is offering the best prices because it will list all
Okay.
the airlines, and that's through Google Chrome on the incognito setting, because then it's not
Have
tracking you.
have you compared using incognito and not using incognito? Have you compared like a specific, like I'm going to fly on this specific date and here's what it is in incognito, here's what it is just normal Google Chrome? Have you done that?
Well, once you find it in incognito, you eventually have to log in and book the flight.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So you can't really book the flight without giving your name and
Yeah.
so you
Okay.
have to kind of you have to eventually go to the Delta airline or United
Okay.
airline
So
website
at some
and
point they
book your
find out who
flight.
you are.
Yeah, at some point they find out who you are. But once you kind of have that knowledge of what the price is, you kind of know what
Okay.
you're looking for. Yeah, and it'd be different. Another thing too is oftentimes if you're willing to do a layover, it's going to be less expensive as well than
Okay.
flying direct.
All right.
Well,
And then
why would
what
two jet planes be cheaper than one?
what so the next thing is looking at how long to go. And this kind of gets into the question of what type of tickets to buy.
Yeah,
Um so but it's all preparation before you get there. So let's talk about that next. Um how do you make a decision on one, how many days to go, and then making the most out of your visit? And within that, that means, I mean, some people, the their idea of a successful trip is to go to parks as much as possible and ride as much as possible or see as many shows as possible. Other people, they want to go and maybe go to a park, 2 days, and they're spending 2 days at a resort or Disney Springs. Um, kind of what has been your experience in deciding how long to be there and then how to make the most of your visit? And that includes, are you buying, one park a day ticket? Are you buying park hopper options, things like that?
yeah. So first off, if you're going for the first time, don't waste your money on a park hopper.
Okay.
You're not going to get your money's worth on a
Yeah.
park hopper. Uh, some people say Animal Kingdom's a half day park. Well, you know what? No, it's not. It's not a half day park. It's a full day park because you got two major shows to see: Lion King and Finding Nemo. You got Flight of Passage, which is if you're not going to start buying extras, or you're going to be standing in line for, that's going to eat up part of your day. So I would say for your first time going, it's going to be a minimum of 4 days. It's
Okay.
going to be one park per day. If you want to do it where you're not dead at the end of the 4 days, be 5 foot full days. Uh, if you want to see Magic Kingdom twice, you'd 6 full days. So again, it's going to be like what you can afford, how much time
Yeah.
you can take off, what you're looking to do. But what I like to do is I go 5 days and I'll do a park a day. I'll do 2 park days, a day off, and 2 park days.
Okay.
And then I'm not quite so exhausted at the end of the trip because they're long days. I like to go rope drop till they kick me
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Like,
And so
I get my money's worth.
when you go, are you doing one park a day or are you doing the park hopper sometimes?
I used to be the king of park hoppers,
Okay.
and I used to, geez, Stan, you do like 5 parks in one day, like
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. I just find that it for the most part I do one park a day nowadays.
Okay. Okay.
But my last several trips I didn't bother with the park hoppers.
Okay.
When I had the annual pass and the park hoppers were included, then it was a bit more worth it. But I don't like paying extra for the park hoppers
Yeah.
and whatnot. But yeah, so depending on how many days you go, I would, it's hard for me to say to go less than 4.
Okay.
But if you want to skip Animal Kingdom and do 3, then like, that's what your budget warrants. Then that might be what you have to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then where we've talked about preparing beforehand, we talked about where to stay. All right, now the day of the flight. You get on your flight, you fly to Orlando or the closest airport. There is another, I can't remember the other airport's name now, Sanford maybe. There is
Yeah.
another airport
Yeah. I've never heard of that.
um, that I think a few flights or a few airlines fly into. So getting from the airport to your hotel, um, what have you found is the best way to do that, especially now that if you're staying on property, now Magical Express doesn't exist anymore. It's not in there. So travel to and from the airport's not included anymore. What's the best way to do that?
Yeah, yeah. Like the best way to stay to go was the old way with the
Yeah.
Magical Express that was included. Now, okay, whether you're staying on property or off property because you're paying for it, and Mears is operating it now, not Disney, they don't care if you're staying on property or not.
Okay. Yeah.
My last trip, or the trip before last, I was actually staying at a friend's house, and my friend lives really close to Magic Kingdom. So I booked a Mears, or I think it was a Mears or a Sunshine Flyer, either or. I think they're both owned
Okay.
by Mears now, anyways. Um, to the Contemporary Resort.
Okay.
So, if for myself traveling on my own, that was the least expensive route to go, was to take the Mears transportation. If you have a large group, a shuttle might be less expensive, because you have to do the math. You have to figure out, well, there's 4 or 5 of us, and we're going to be paying 4 or 5 tickets to take the bus, or we can rent, or we can get a shuttle to take us, like a limo or whatever, a
Hmm.
limo service, and it'd be one lump price for all 4 or 5 or 6 of us. That might be the less expensive way to go. So you got to kind of do your homework on this one.
Yeah.
Right. Myself traveling alone, or just myself and my wife, it's always cheaper to take the bus.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, if you're staying off property, like I said, if you want, and the bus won't take you to your, say you got an Airbnb, you rented an Airbnb. Well, the bus isn't going to take you to the Airbnb, but your Airbnb is really, really close to Animal Kingdom. Then take the bus to Animal Kingdom Lodge, then take an Uber or a Lyft from Animal Kingdom Lodge to your Airbnb.
Okay.
It's going to be way less expensive, especially if there's only one or two of you, than taking an Uber or Lyft all the way to your Airbnb.
Okay.
It would
All
be
right.
more expensive. I mean, it would be quicker to do it that way,
Yeah.
but you also get to check out Animal Kingdom Lodge when you're there,
Yeah.
which has its perks too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that was
So
that's kind of the cool thing, in that where they don't, it's no longer owned by Disney, because you used to be, you had to be staying on Disney property to take the Magical Express.
yeah.
It's not a case anymore.
One thing that I found out that this last trip is at the end of July. We when we went to Disneyland, and we were there for 3 days because we were doing other things on that vacation. But we stayed off property, but we stayed at a hotel that was, I can't remember. Is the street called Catella? I can't remember. Like Catella, and then Harbor Boulevard. Harbor Boulevard is the one that the parks are on.
Yep.
We literally were 2 blocks off of Harbor Boulevard. So
Mm-hmm.
we could get up, it would take us 10 minutes to walk to the parks every day.
Yeah.
And I mean, Disneyland, I've always heard Disneyland is very easy to do comparatively with a family because everything is right there. And Disneyland's to your right, California Adventures to your left, Disney Springs is straight. It's or downtown Disney straight. And it was really, really fun. And I even like when we were walking out at the end of the night, and we would walk past all the buses and everything, the Disneyland buses. Then it got me looking at the maps. I got on Google Maps, and our hotel, we were closer than any of the Disneyland parking lots. Now, obviously, you park in a Disneyland parking lot, you can get on the bus and you can go. But for us, like, we wanted to stay that close just so we would be able to walk. And we didn't know if we were going to last all day in the parks, if we were going to go back to the hotel
Mm-hmm.
during the day or not. And so it was really, really good for us because we were able to walk. We didn't pay for parking. We didn't take the extra 30 or 40 minutes to park and take a bus into Disneyland. That was really, really good. And so
Oh yeah,
the
Disneyland is so much easier
yeah,
than Disney World as far as for stuff like that goes. Absolutely.
yeah. So definitely I agree. Finding your way around is very, very important. And we were so excited when we got to the hotel. We found out that it was free parking at the hotel. I had when we
Nice.
booked it, because we had looked at 4 or 5 different options, and when we booked it, I thought I had remembered thinking, well, we're gonna have to pay this much for parking here, but it's gonna be cheaper, or it's gonna be less than if we stayed farther away and had to drive in and pay and a lot and everything. And we get there and it's free parking, so it's like, oh my goodness, this was
Yeah.
amazing.
I stayed at
Um,
hotels in Disneyland that it was quicker for me to walk from my hotel to Disneyland than it was for me to walk from my room at Pop Century to the uh to the Skyliner.
yeah,
Never mind taking the Skyliner to Hollywood Studios, then walking the other 30 minutes to or 20 minutes to the front gate. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's Disney World is so much larger than Disneyland as far as
Yeah.
like the ground you have to cover. So,
Yeah.
um, all right, you're there,
Packing.
you're getting ready, and yeah, we should have talked about packing before we left, but um, we'll talk about it now. So,
Yeah.
what is good to take on a trip to Walt Disney World?
Okay, so the more you take, the better off you are, but at the same time you don't want to bring too much because you want to have room in your luggage to bring stuff back.
Yeah.
So it's the essentials that I say you need to bring are sunscreen, rain ponchos, battery chargers. Because
Yes.
those are the things you're going to be paying a premium for when you're at Walt Disney World. Sunscreen is what, 5 times the price than it is at Walgreens.
Hmm.
Same with ponchos. I think ponchos, you can get them at a Dollar Tree for what, $1,
Yeah.
and at Disney World, what are they? I don't know what they are now. $15 for a rain poncho,
Yeah. Yeah.
something like that. If you have 3 of you in your family or whatever, yeah, it's going to add up quick.
And what we used to do is we this when we went to Disneyland, this was the first time we didn't have a stroller.
Okay.
Um, we actually rented a stroller the first day just in case we needed it. And we didn't use it like I went and I parked it in Adventureland so we could get on the Indiana Jones ride. I went back at the end of the night and it was there. Like our boys wanted to walk everywhere. When I got the stroller at the end of the night, our youngest son got in and went to sleep. But that was the only time anybody ever sat in it, so we didn't get it the rest of the time. But when we went to Walt Disney World, they were younger, so we would always have 1 or 2 strollers with us. And my wife would always go and buy a shower curtain, and we would basically tie or use some type of
Adhesive.
strips or whatever to fasten the shower curtain to the stroller. And anytime like we were getting on a ride and I would push the stroller over, then I would just flip up the shower curtain, because as anybody who has been to Walt Disney World knows, I mean, rain showers pop up all the time in
Hmm.
Central Florida. And so it was something that took an extra 10 seconds to do. But when you come back and you see everybody else's stroller is really, really wet and yours is dry, that's a pretty good feeling as well,
Yeah.
especially because your stuff's not wet, your kid's not having to sit in wet things. And so yes, sunscreen, rain poncho, definite must. And one time that I went by myself to Walt Disney World, I did rent a battery charger there.
Hmm.
Ever since then, I have gone with battery chargers that I bring from home
Yeah.
for the reason that it's the premium charge and things like that.
And the you can get those big heavy bricks, and they're great. They'll charge your phone 3 times.
Yeah.
The one I use, it's like the size of 3 credit cards piled on top of each other.
Okay. All
It's
right.
just a small little itty bitty thing. It has a plug that pops out and it plugs directly into my iPhone. I actually keep an elastic around it. So what I do is I put the elastic around the battery charger around my phone. It doesn't recharge my phone to 100%, but it does it enough to last me all day, all night.
Yeah.
If that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
I don't need a 200% charge battery on my phone at Disney. I don't go through that battery that quickly, and I use my phone an awful lot at Disney.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
doing live streams, I'm doing pictures, I'm doing videos, I'm doing reservations, I'm doing park hop or Genie Plus and all that. So uh, you don't need that big, huge, heavy brick that it's gonna weigh you down when you're traveling around. You go, why am I carrying this thing for? Yeah, I just get a small little one. I bought it on Amazon, and that's what works for me. Um, and again, and I just when I get back from the room, I charge my phone and I charge my little charger,
Hmm.
and it's easy, super easy. You have to be careful. Don't pack your charger in your checked luggage, though.
Yeah.
You have to do
Yeah.
it in your carry-on. Bring it with you on the plane.
So, and that's another question that you had on here. I skipped over, so thank you. Um, check luggage or carry-on luggage? What have you found is the best? And obviously, some of it just depends on if you're taking a lot of stuff, you
Yeah,
have to check. But
yeah.
if given
So
the
I've never
option, what?
done.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I've never gone carry-on only. Have you ever done
Oh,
carry-on
okay.
only?
Yeah, actually, every time I've gone in all of my travel, I've probably checked a bag 3 or 4 times. I
Yeah,
I typically always do
do carry-on only.
carry on, and
And
and, and
I
even
admire you for that. I absolutely admire you for that because if I could, I would. But
well,
I gotta wear several new shirts
yeah, yeah.
every trip. And
And even if one thing that I've found is even like if you get up to the gate and you sometimes have to gate check it. Well, but if you can go and you can gate check it, literally yours is one of the first, like they carry it onto down the
Mhm.
tarmac or they carry it in the tunnel. You leave it there, they take it, put it on the plane. When you get off the plane, it's right there.
Yep.
So you
Yeah.
don't have to wait for it. You don't have to do. So I've had to do that a few times when flights have been more full. But yeah, every time, if at all possible, we try to do carry on only. So
Yeah.
that's
I
base
wish
and
I could do
still
that.
carry on's
I'm
limited
not
to.
I'm not a good enough packer, but I do a check bag and I pay the $100 going, I pay the $100 coming back.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh on with my check bag. But yeah, no, I
Um,
admire you for that. And I don't know how people do it.
an, another thing with airlines for anybody who is traveling for the first time, um, what what do you do for in-flight entertainment? Do you pay for the
Oh, I
Wi-Fi?
just look at the
Do you
people around me
download
and laugh.
things? Okay.
No, no,
Do you download things so you
yeah,
can watch? Do you take a book and you read? Like, what are you doing
yeah. No,
during in-flight entertainment?
I usually have my iPad, and I
Okay.
watch my iPad. I'll download something from Disney Plus more often than not when I'm
Yeah.
going to on a Disney trip. The the like WestJet, oftentimes that they don't have the in screen on the back of the
Yeah.
seat. So quite often I'll fly WestJet, and then so the iPad, I have mine actually fits so it will clip into this seat in front of me, and
Okay.
it looks like I'm the only person on the plane with a built-in
Yeah. Yeah.
camera, seat. But yeah,
Yeah. This last time we went, I actually we downloaded a few things, excuse me, on the boys' iPads. I had downloaded, that's when Secret Invasion was coming out. So
hmm
I had downloaded the most recent episode of that. And then I think I downloaded the season of Moon Knight in case I wanted to watch that, but one really cool thing, we flew American. They didn't have the screens in the back of the seats either.
hmm
But American has started, you can pay for Wi-Fi if you need to do whatever else, but through their app now you can watch free in-flight entertainment. And that's that you're not paying for anything. That's
yeah,
you
that's what
download
most
their app,
airlines
you
do now.
access it through there. So
Yeah, most
um
airlines do that now. So if you are, no matter what airline you're flying, it is a really good idea to download their app
yeah,
and get
yeah,
the latest version before you go,
yeah.
because there's oftentimes things on there that would be free or whatever. Yeah.
So we were I want to give you a chance. Was there anything else you suggest somebody bring from home on their trip?
Those are the key things. I know
Okay.
some people, they'll bring band-aids and they'll bring gauze, and oh, I guess, yeah, I do like to bring like I get blisters easy
Okay.
on my feet. So mind you, now I got proper shoes that it doesn't I don't blister nearly as much.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, so it's good to bring the moleskin if you're with you.
Okay.
If you're even if you're not prone to getting blisters, there's a good chance you might get them at Walt Disney World. So it's a good idea to bring some moleskin with you, some scissors to cut the moleskin. Again,
Okay.
that can't go in your checked luggage. The
Yeah.
scissors that has to go in your or that can't go in your carry on. That has to go in your check.
So do you when you go to the parks, do you take a backpack? Do you take a bag with you? How do you carry all of your things?
Yeah, if it doesn't fit in my cargo pants,
Okay.
it's not going with me to the park.
Okay. All right.
I know a lot of people bring backpacks,
Yeah.
and they'll have everything with them. Yeah, I like to travel light. It's funny. I got the heaviest, biggest suitcase you could imagine on the plane, but when I go to the parks, it's
Yeah.
my shirt and me, my shirt, my pants and me, yeah, and my hat.
So one thing when I go, I when I'm using a battery charger, I'll plug in my battery to the phone, and then I have it because I always wear like cargo shorts to the
Hmm.
parks, and I'll put the charger in the like the bottom cargo pocket where like my phone is in the regular pocket. Um, how have you found the bet? Like, do you put your charger? Do you just have it? You said elastic. Like, do you just have it attached to your
Yeah.
phone,
My
or what do you
charger is
do?
very small, so it takes up very
Okay.
little room in my cargo pants. What I bring with me to the parks is going to be a poncho in one cargo pants pouch pocket, and the battery charger and my phone, and I have a travel wallet that's very, very thin.
Okay.
It has like next to nothing in it. It's basically a little plastic folder. That's my travel wallet.
Okay.
Um,
All right. Then next
and
on the
that's
list.
about
Oh,
it.
sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I don't break my sunglasses.
Okay.
I have my sunglasses.
Next on the list is well, I should ask, how many times do you reapply sunscreen during the day? Because
Never.
I'm probably two or three. You don't?
I
Okay.
don't. I do it in the morning before I leave, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I know some people do
so
have to do it more often.
next is extras. Things like, do you go with the Magic Band? Now, Magic Band Plus, like at Disneyland only uses Magic Band Plus. I've
Mhm.
heard rumors for a long time that at some point, Walt Disney World will be Magic Band Plus instead of the Magic Bands that we're accustomed to. Do you do things like Memory Maker? Do you do the special things in the parks? How do you use Genie, which is the free service on the app? Do you purchase Genie Plus? Do you purchase individual lightning lanes? What have you found is best to make the most out of your time there?
Okay. So if you're going for the first time and you're debating about magic bands and you don't know if you should get a magic band or not, if it's strictly because of cost, then I say don't get it. If yeah, because what are they now? $30, $15,
Yeah.
$20,
Yeah.
somewhere around there. Um, if it's something that you're stressing out because of cost, you don't need it. Disney gives you a card ticket when you get to your resort, or if you're going off property and you're getting tickets only, they give you a card, and you don't need the Magic Band. You can also use your phone as your ticket. The Magic Band is a great novelty, and I absolutely love the Magic Band. It's easy to charge with. It's easy to well, back when you had fast passes, use fast passes for and all that. Get into your room, but you can use the card to get into your room. You don't need the Magic Band, or you can use your phone to get into your room. So Magic Bands is something. They're fun, but they're not necessary. So you don't need to
Okay.
get it. Another one is Memory Maker. Memory Maker is very expensive.
Hmm.
I think currently it's what 160 somewhere around there. I haven't
Yeah.
purchased it in the longest time. And what it does is it gives you all the photos that the PhotoPass people will take, as well as all your ride photos. Well, the PhotoPass people are more than willing to. You hand them your phone and they'll take your picture. They're more than willing to do that. So if it's a cost issue, it's honestly almost I would say it's not worth it. Now, if you're really big into photos and you want to annoy everybody in your party and get every single photo you can, and you want to get the special photos, like they have these great zoom photos where those you stand in a spot at Magic Kingdom and it will zoom right into you and then zoom out and it's like a little video you get. You can't do that with your phone. That's not going to happen. There's magic shots which honestly I could probably Photoshop very easily myself.
Yeah.
But there's magic shots that they'll do, and that's not going to happen with your phone. So if photos are important to you, then yes, get it before your trip because you're going to save yourself, I think, $30 or something like that. Um, but for myself, I think it's one of the biggest scams that Disney has going right now is paying for these photos. So
Did don't they one of the more recent things they've done with Genie Plus, if you purchase Genie Plus, now don't you have at Disneyland you do, at Walt Disney World, I think it's the same. You have access to the ride videos, correct? Like
I
when you're
don't
on a
think so
ride.
at World. I could be
Oh,
wrong.
okay.
I don't
Okay.
think so.
Okay.
Yeah, you do at land when you purchase
Yeah, and
Genie Plus.
at Disneyland it's two or three rides
Yeah,
in each park, or maybe even one or two rides in each park that do it. But
yeah,
that was something that was kind of nice. You're paying for Genie Plus. It you feel like you're getting a little something extra with it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
keep going.
Well, sticking with Genie Plus, if you are going to get Genie Plus, the only park I would strongly suggest you get it at is Magic Kingdom.
Okay.
It's totally unnecessary at Hollywood Studios. In fact, I had a friend that recently went and he spent a day at Hollywood Studios and he purchased Genie Plus. He did not use it at all.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
once did he book a fast pass or a lightning lane with the Genie Plus. He ended up going to Main Street, like to the City Hall there, what's it called, the customer service, and asking
Yeah.
for a refund
Yeah.
on his
Yeah.
Magic Genie Plus because he never used it. He didn't use it once. Uh, Same thing at Animal Kingdom. You're probably not going to use it. Epcot, you're
Okay.
probably not going to use it except for maybe what Ratatouille and Frozen,
Yeah.
maybe Soarin' at Epcot.
Well, and the
So
way that they have it in most, in three of the parks other than Magic Kingdom, is the rides that are going to be the longest are now individual Lightning Lane that you have to
yeah,
purchase
yeah,
separately anyway. And again, for anybody who's listening, especially if you haven't been on your own, um, you don't have to purchase Genie Plus or individual Lightning Lane to ride anything. This is only you purchase Genie Plus to basically it's what Fast Pass Plus used to be. You get
mhm,
to skip a portion of the line. There are certain rides in each park that are identified as individual lightning lanes that you have to purchase those separately, and it's all variable pricing. So you may go one day and individual lightning lane might be $15 for a ride or $20 for a ride. You might go another time, it might be 25 or 30. It all depends on what the crowd is doing. Same thing with Genie Plus. So I want to make sure everybody knows that you don't have to purchase it to ride. Um, the reason you're purchasing it is if you don't want to stand in as long of lines. You still will
yeah,
stand in some lines, but not as
yeah,
long.
yeah, exactly. Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. You have a little girl, and you think it would be so cute to get her uh, dressed by a fairy godmother or whatever they're calling them these days, and she's going to be dressed as a princess, and she's going to have the sparkles in her hair, and her hair's going to be done up in a bun, and it's going to be so cute, and you're going to get beautiful pictures. You need to know your child. I've seen little girls walk out of Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, and as soon as they got out, they wanted to pull the bun out of their hair because they didn't like it, and the
Yeah.
shoes were uncomfortable, and they were complaining the entire time. And you just spent $250, whatever it
Yeah.
was, on this Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique experience. When realistically, you could have went to Walmart or Target and bought a princess dress and put it on her, put some sprinkles in her hair, and she would have been just as happy, if not even happier,
Yeah.
wearing her sneakers, you know. so so you kind of need to know if this is something that your girl would absolutely love and she's really excited for it, would want to do it, then yeah, you might want to do it because she's only going to be young once. But if she's going to be the type to pull that bun out of her hair 2 seconds after getting out of the shop,
Yeah.
you might not want to do that. So yeah, so
Um,
that's something to consider. These extras.
do you ever do the Halloween or Christmas parties?
I've done the Halloween party once. I don't think I've ever been to the Christmas party.
Okay.
No, I don't think I've ever been to the Christmas party.
What's the pro and con of doing those special ticket engagements?
So the Halloween party and the Christmas party, it's an added fee, and it costs about the same as what a day ticket would cost. And they go from uh, I'm thinking like 6 or 7 till like midnight around there, and you can usually get in a couple hours earlier. Don't quote me on that, but they only sell so many tickets, so the parks are supposed to be less empty. And then they have special events. They'll have special food you can purchase. They'll have special guests that you can like photo opportunities with different. Um, like this year, the Halloween party, they got the seven dwarfs, all seven dwarfs. You can get your picture with the seven
Okay.
dwarfs.
Okay.
Well, the line for that is 3 hours, and
Yeah.
you're at a 5 hour event.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. They have trick or treating. They give you a bag, and you can go to different spots, and they give you handfuls of candy. It's actually a lot of fun, especially if you're going with a large group of friends. They're a lot of fun. They can feel like a party for sure. But if you're going for the first time, everything is new to you. Everything is a Halloween party for you.
Hmm.
Every restaurant you go to is going to be your first time going to that restaurant. Every attraction you go to is going to be your first time going on this attraction. I don't think it's necessary to purchase an extra ticket on top of the ticket you already purchased that day just to do the Halloween party.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you agree on that?
I've never done them.
Hmm.
One thing I have considered doing is whenever I go, if I go by myself, it's usually, well, most of the time that I go, I'm usually doing something like I'm presenting research or something somewhere else as part of the trip also.
Hmm.
So one thing I've considered is if I'm going by myself and maybe I would fly in on a day where there was a special event. And so then you're getting there. Obviously, you're not going to go to a full day park that day. You would go to Disney Springs or something. And then maybe, at 4 or 5, whenever they let you into the parks, then if you went to one of the special ticket
Yeah.
events, then you could do that. And then the next day go to, your next park. Because usually when I travel, if I'm traveling for research, especially if I'm by myself, I'm there for one day or maybe 2 days.
Yeah.
And so I am kind of getting the park hopper so I can experience at least two parks, things like that. Because I don't have, I don't have the days to be able to do that. So I have thought about that. I've
That makes
never
sense.
done
That makes
one.
sense. See, Cody, that makes sense. And also because you have been plenty of times. So now this is something new
Yeah.
that you've never
Yeah.
experienced before. If you're going the first time, everything is new that you've never
Yeah.
experienced before.
Yeah.
So why
Yeah.
add something else extra new that you save it for the next time you go?
Yeah.
You know,
You
what's
know
wrong?
what? One thing I've realized, I think almost every time I have been to Disney has been because, I mean, Halloween fall decorations and Halloween decorations are up already. They had their first Halloween party this last week at time of recording. Um,
That's
every
three
time
already
I've been,
this
oh,
year.
I think every time I've been, except maybe once or twice, they've been decorated for either Christmas or fall because we
Mhm.
typically go in September, October. And one time we went in November when I was a kid. We went over Christmas during the very busy part. Um, I think I've only so it's almost like if I went to Walt Disney World and it was not decorated for Christmas or Halloween, that's something almost completely new to me because I think I've only seen that at
There you
once
go.
or
Yeah.
twice every time that I've
Yeah.
been.
Yeah.
Um, so so yeah, that's a really good point. The last thing you have on here are dessert parties. And so what are
Yeah.
those? Are they something that you would want to do?
So I've done a number of dessert parties. I've done a couple at Epcot. I've done a couple at Magic Kingdom. I've done have I done one at Hollywood? I've done one at Hollywood Studios. And when I've done them, I've done them with a large group. I did actually the first time I went, it was just my daughter and myself, and it was because I wanted to get special viewing of the fireworks. So you get to have your dessert and your fireworks too, is basically
Okay.
what it is.
Yeah.
So it's all you care to eat of desserts and fruit punch and pog juice and water and coffee and whatever else. And there's all these. Honestly, they're kind of bland desserts, but the highlight is you get to have a great view of the fireworks.
Okay.
They're not cheap.
Yeah.
They're a couple hours long, and I think they're well over. I think they're like 120, $125 per
Okay.
person now, for a couple of hours. So, if a dessert party is something that interests you, and having desserts without a big crowd around you while you watch the fireworks, what I would suggest you do is you go to the Polynesian and say there's a couple of people in your party and you get a Dole Whip or you get a cupcake or whatever, and you go and you sit on the beach and enjoy the fireworks from there.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you won't see the projections, but they pipe in the music into the Polynesian beach, so you get to hear the music, you get to see the fireworks, and it's a really spectacular view, and
Okay.
it's not crowded. It's not
Okay.
overly crowded at all. You're not shoulder to shoulder like you are on Main Street to see the fireworks. But again, you don't get to see the projections. But it's going to cost you $3 for a cupcake, maybe $5 for a cupcake or a Dole Whip, whatever,
Okay.
versus $125 for
Yeah.
if you want to get a cup of coffee, okay, so that's another $5
Yeah. Yeah.
or a pog juice or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. So you can
Um,
have your own dessert party and enjoy the fireworks too.
okay. All right. So next is dining. What's your best tips for dining at Walt Disney World, Stan?
Yeah, so we are just talking about the dessert parties. That kind of brings us into food. How do we go this long without talking about the food? The food is one of your biggest expenses after your
Yeah.
park tickets and your traveling and everything and your resorts and your rooms. Uh, but dining, okay, so if you're going to be following podcasts and you're going to be listening to blogs and watching YouTubes and all that, everybody's talking about these festivals and all the great food at all these festivals. The thing they don't really always tell you is that each one of those little plates of food is going to cost you between $8 to $12,
Hmm.
and it's a handful. It's a morsel. You'll spend $100 in no time flat and still be hungry
Yeah.
eating all this festival foods. And like I said about the Halloween parties and the Christmas parties, is everything is new to you. So whether you eat a bunch of festival food or whether you go to the Regal Eagle Smokehouse and have lunch there, it's still new to you.
Yeah.
It's all going to be something that you've never had before, have never experienced before. I'm not saying don't try any of the festival foods. If there's something that everybody is saying this is the must-have this year, this is the best thing ever, you want to get that special Instagram photo, then yeah, go ahead and spend the $5-8.
Hmm.
But don't buy 20 of them.
Yeah.
If you're on a budget. If you're not a big eater, I mean, this one doesn't work for me. But if you're ordering a burger or chicken wings or chicken nuggets or whatever, and it comes with fries, you can ask them to hold the fries,
Okay.
and they won't cost you as much if you're at a
Okay.
quick service restaurant and you say, "Hey, is there any? I'm not that hungry. Can you skip the fries?" And they'll take the fries off the price. The menu
Okay.
boards always show with fries, with side, you can ask for without the side, and it will save you a
So
little bit.
here's a question, because now with and they're really pushing using the mobile app and mobile ordering, which mobile ordering is amazing.
It's yeah, yeah.
Especially if you're going with a lot of people. Have you done that on mobile ordering, or do you know,
I
can
never
you do
skip a
that on
side.
mobile
Have you
ordering?
seen me? I'm not a guy that skips a side. Are you kidding me?
I, I don't ever skip sides either, but I didn't like, I know you can customize in there,
Yeah,
but I didn't
I have
know that
heard that
you
people
could
skip
take
the
it off.
sides.
Okay. Okay.
There might be a way. There might be a way on the mobile app. I'm not sure about that. Water's a big one. You're in Florida. You're in the heat. You're in the
Hmm.
sun. You drink plenty of water. Everybody always says, "Drink water, drink water, drink water." I'm not sure. I'm sure most people know this, but if in case you don't, the water is free at Walt Disney World if you get it from a quick service restaurant in a cup. If you get it from a bottle that says Dasani on it,
Yeah.
it's what, $5 a bottle now, $7
Yeah.
a bottle for a bottle of water. You could get free water at any quick service at any time, even if you're not ordering meal.
Okay.
You could, and you were talking about mobile ordering. The quickest way to do it is to go to the mobile ordering line, and
Hmm.
they'll come up to you and they go, "Listen, all I want is a cup of water. I'm really thirsty." They'll give you a cup of water, and usually has ice water. You know, they're often
Yeah.
has ice water. I've been to Hollywood Studios, the ABC commissary. There's a guy standing outside, and he has an ice chest or like a mobile fridge filled with ice water. You just
Oh,
walk up to
okay.
him and ask for ice water. He'll give you 2 cups of ice water. That's all
Nice.
he's standing to open the door for people and handing out ice water.
Yeah.
So if you don't even
Yeah.
have to worry
Very,
about it.
very good tip.
Now, a lot of people don't like the taste of Florida water. I don't have a problem with it, but people don't like it. It's tap water. So you could bring a little Mio or Kool-Aid or Crystal Light squirt thing. You know,
Hmm.
I don't need it. It's one extra thing in my cargo pants. Uh, but by all means, yeah. If you want flavor with your water, a couple squirts of that, shake it up, you're good to go. Uh, in your room, you have a coffee maker if you're staying on property. You also have a small fridge. The fridge doesn't get extremely cold, but I've kept sandwiches in there and whatnot.
Okay.
Um, you can order stuff in. You can keep bottles of water in there if you want to spend if you want to get, say, bottles of water. You could do a grocery order, like a Garden Grocer or whatever, or Walmart delivers. You can get 32 bottles for like $30 or with a bunch of Powerade and everything. And you're gonna have to pay the resort fee. There's a resort fee. I think it's $5 or is it $7 now for
I
travel
can't
to
remember.
resort. For you to get 30 bottles of water on a week trip, and you're paying, I think, honestly, I don't know if it's $5 or $7 a bottle
Yeah.
now. That's gonna add up pretty quick.
Yeah.
So you can
Yeah.
get these bottles of water, keep them in your fridge, keep a sandwich in your fridge, whatever you need. Uh, I was I'm perfectly happy. Everybody says, "Oh, you got to eat at Space 220. You got to eat at the Polynesian. You got to eat at Sanaa." I am perfectly happy, and I'm a bit of a foodie in it, eating at the quick service meals. I
Hmm.
find plenty of variety. The Yorkshire fish chop is amazing at Epcot. What's the new one that just opened up in Epcot?
Actually, I haven't been to Epcot in a while, so I don't.
Yeah, it's a quick service. It just opened up in Futureland.
Okay.
Even Sunshine Seasons in the Land Pavilion is really good. Uh, there's a Chinese one in Animal Kingdom. Uh, there's one in Pandora, a quick service restaurant in Pandora.
Yeah, that I think is that Satuli Canteen.
Yeah, Satuli
That had the
Cantina.
best that had the best rice bowl I've
Yeah,
had in a pretty long time.
yeah,
It was there, and that's a quick service. That was really
yeah,
nice.
yeah. So a lot of people say, "Oh, you gotta book your reservations. Where are you eating?" You don't have to eat at a table service. And not only that, if you think about how much you're paying for your park tickets, do you want to take 3 hours or four
Yeah,
hours, out of your
yeah,
day to have a sit down meal, or 2.5 hours, whatever it takes? It cuts into your park time.
yeah.
So you don't really have to. If you are dying for something different, you could do Uber now, Uber Eats. You could do DoorDash, and they'll bring it to your resort.
Hmm.
I think there's a little extra fee for it. Just meet them out there. You get your McDonald's or whatever you want. Uh, it's a little bit cheaper. Snacks. You could bring your own snacks into the parks. A lot of people going for the first time don't realize it. That's the other thing. I'll have a couple of granola bars. I'll bring
Hmm.
granola bars from home. That's why I got so much luggage. I got to fill with
Yeah.
granola bars.
One suitcase, just granola bars.
Well, I also tend to bring a lot of snacks for my friends that are only available in Canada. That
Ah, yeah, yeah.
too. So I got big bags of chips in there and that too. But yeah, I'll have a bunch of granola bars, and I'll bring granola bars with me, and I try not to eat it on the bus, but while I'm waiting for the bus to show up, or once I'm in the park, I'll have a cereal bar, or granola bar, or something like that.
Okay.
Uh, Dining plan. That's a big subject. That's almost a show on its own.
Yeah, yeah. I've never done the dining plan because
Okay.
I bring snacks, I stick to snacks, and we do quick service. That's pretty much
Yeah.
it. So I've never done it. Have you done it? What's your experience?
Okay. So in the past, I've been a huge advocate of the dining plan. I felt that like people say, well, you don't save money unless you buy the most expensive stuff. And if you were dining, you probably wouldn't get the most expensive stuff.
Hmm.
But but it does allow me to get the most expensive stuff. It allowed me to get
Yeah.
the steak at every, you know. Then there's two different plans now. There's the quick service plan, and then there's the regular plan. So the quick service plan gets you two quick service meals and a snack and resort mug for the length of your stay. By the way, you can only get the dining plan if you're staying on property.
Okay.
You can't get the dining plan if you're staying off property. So that's a bit of a difference there. And then the regular dining plan gets you a quick service meal and a table service meal or two quick service meals. Which if you're using
Okay.
two quick service meals, don't get it. You're wasting your
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah. As well as a snack or a non-alcoholic drink and a refillable resort mug.
Yeah.
So
It's important. The refillables resort mugs, you can refill those at, is it at any resort or just the
at
one
any
you're
resort
staying at?
during the length of your stay.
Okay.
They actually have a
Okay.
chip on the bottom of them that after your length of stay, they no longer will work.
Oh, okay.
Will work. Yeah, the machines. The machines won't work.
Yeah.
So I used to be a huge fan of the dining plan. What they're charging now and for what you get, it's hard for me to justify it. Unless you're going to, I don't see the point. If you're wanted for the convenience, sure, it's prepaid before you go on your trip. You don't have to worry about any expenses because
Yeah.
now all
Yeah.
your transportation is paid for, your rooms are paid for, and your food is paid for. Your trip is paid for, so it's
Yeah.
convenient in that sense. Because realistically, the only thing you have to buy once you get there is your food.
Hmm.
I mean, of course, you're going to buy shirts and cups and hats and pins and bears and ears and backpacks and
Yeah.
hoodies. But yeah, but you don't have to buy anything other than because you do have to eat. You are going
Okay.
to have to buy, right? So it's hard, really, really hard for me to justify the dining plan with the cost now, and what you get.
Okay. All
Um,
right. So next, talking about souvenirs and things that you buy. I mean, you get them off a ride, you are in a souvenir shop. Virtually every ride has souvenir shops. There are souvenir shops everywhere around the parks, the hotels, Disney Springs, everywhere on property you can think usually usually has one. Um, what are some good tips for kind of some inexpensive souvenirs? Like for us, Magic Bands are souvenirs. When we went to Disneyland, I got Magic
mhm.
Band Pluses. That was a souvenir for everybody. Like that was one of the two souvenirs that we all got while we were there. What are some tips that you have?
So so there are some inexpensive souvenirs that you get. I think a big tip is to set a budget
Hmm.
and whatever it is, double it. No, honestly, because you're gonna want to bring home a souvenir. It's just
Yeah,
human. Uh, Whether it's going to be a coffee cup or a baseball hat or something. Um, but there are some souvenirs you can get for really little amount of money. Uh, the number one is if is the I'm celebrating buttons or my first
yeah,
visit button.
yeah,
Those are 100% free. You just go to your front desk or you go to customer service in the parks. Uh, I haven't seen it in a long time, but they used to during rope drop, they would have people with baskets of buttons and just hand them out to people that would ask for them down Main Street. There'd be
yeah,
several people with those. I haven't seen that in a long time.
yeah. I
But you
haven't
just
seen
go
that.
say, yeah, it's my first visit. I'd like to get a first visit button, and they'll hand you one. Or I'm celebrating, um, cancer free
Yeah,
is a big one. Or I'm celebrating whatever it is, your birthday or whatever, and they'll write I'm celebrating on it. Or if it's your birthday, you can get a birthday button,
yeah,
and those are free. They have press penny machines all over the place. They can add up quick if you want to get them all. But,
yeah,
but if you just want to get a couple of them, what is it? It's like a $1, I think, for a pressed penny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's one thing that my boys like. So we did a few of those.
Hmm.
And so they're pretty nice, reasonably inexpensive compared to, a lot of other things.
Yeah.
So those are pretty good.
And I've seen people
On
do
the
some really imaginative displays with them too by putting them in shadow boxes or
oh,
whatnot,
okay.
and different things. You can get collector books to keep them in. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
mine are sitting on my end table in my bedroom. Big pile of them.
When I've heard you when you talk on your podcasts and other shows, I've heard you talk about when you go, you'll typically get like a popcorn bucket and you'll carry that around for a snack during the day.
Hmm.
Do you typically get like the do you get the premium themed popcorn buckets? Have you ever done that? Or what are your views on that?
Yeah, so the themed popcorn buckets are available everywhere, and probably within my reach where I'm sitting right now, I could probably pick up a dozen of them.
Okay.
But what I do get, yeah, I do get the reusable popcorn bucket. It's if it's again, this kind of ties in with your snacks and your dining. Um, I carry the popcorn bucket with me,
Yeah.
um, and it's good for your length of stay. You can bring it back if you're going back for another trip. I don't think Disney encourages you do that. I don't think that, but I have talked to cast members and they said that we don't care. We'll refill your popcorn bucket no matter where you bring
Yeah.
it from. I've seen people
Okay.
there. It's July and they got one from 3 Christmases ago and it's so worn off already, but they're still refilling it.
Yeah.
It's a lot less expensive to refill your popcorn bucket versus buying another popcorn every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
So
three bucks versus $5 or something like that.
the the difference
And
between
you
the
got a souvenir
refillable
later.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what I want to get in. The difference between the refillable and then like the souvenir. Like my big souvenir from this last trip was, I don't know if you can see, they
Oh
had
yeah, the Mr. Toad popcorn bucket.
yeah. This was my big souvenir. Like this is what I brought back. And because like I grew up riding that at Walt Disney World. Now it's no longer at Magic Kingdom, it's in Disneyland. And so what is like what's a good tip as you get out your 50? What's a good tip for how to manage those popcorn buckets? Yeah, because they can, they do add up in price. So it's kind of like for me, it's sort of turned into if I'm going to get a popcorn bucket, that's typically the one thing I'm getting when I'm going, or maybe I'll get that and I'll get a shirt or something or a hat or something. But
Yeah.
how, like, what's a good tip for how to manage that? And very importantly, for people who have to fly, good tips on getting those back if you buy them.
So yeah, so the collector souvenir popcorn buckets. When I get them, I ask for the popcorn to not be put inside
Yeah,
the popcorn bucket. I ask for them to put it in a regular cardboard container, and because I want to keep mine clean. I want it
yeah,
to be on my shelf. I don't want it to be greasy inside and all that. So that is one of my tips with those collector ones. Getting them back, I mean, they look like they'll take an awful lot of room in your suitcase, but they do have a cavity inside them.
hmm
So you could kind of stuff them with your socks or
yeah,
whatever to kind of take up some of that space in your suitcase. Um, so they look like they take up a lot of room, and they yeah they do, but you find ways to fit them into your suitcase. Uh,
yeah,
I love the collectible popcorn buckets probably more than I should because they are like you said they are getting more and more expensive every time. And but I tend to pick up at least one, if not two, every trip.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the last thing on the list that you sent is day off from the park. Let's say you're going, let's say you're there multiple days. You're not going to the parks every day. What are some good tips for those days that you are not going to the parks that are budget friendly?
Okay, so if you remember back to very early at the beginning of the show 3 weeks ago, I I said I said ideally you want to do 5 days. You want to
Yeah.
do 4 park days and then have a day off. So you do two park days, a day off, and 2 park days. So now that day off day, I don't expect you to be sitting in your room sulking that you're not going to a park. Uh, you could go to Disney Springs. You
Hmm.
could go to uh, my favorite thing to do. And it's actually, honestly, some of my most memorable days at Walt Disney World is resort hopping.
Okay.
And like I said, all the transportation is included. And honestly, the transportation is included whether you're staying on property or off property.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to pay for the Skyliner if you're staying at the Hilton or at the Best Western or at an Airbnb. All the transportation is included.
Yeah.
So
You
you
just
can
have to
resort
get to
hop.
those places. That's it.
Yeah, so you can resort hop quite easily with either the monorail or the boats or the Skyliner and make a full day of it. Uh,
Hmm.
Check out the different resorts. Uh, Explore like Port Orleans Riverside. It's just beautiful. You can walk around Port Orleans Riverside and just explore it, and then you can take a boat for no charge to Disney Springs. And on your way, stop off at Port Orleans French Quarter and check out Port Orleans French
Yeah.
Quarter. Again, it's another well-themed, beautiful resort that doesn't get a lot of love. The monorail loop, you can stop off at every at uh, the Grand Floridian, the Polynesian, and the Contemporary, and do a little bit of shopping at each one. Get a
Yeah.
snack at each one. Get a cupcake. Do a cupcake tour. You could take the monorail from the pretty much from the Polynesian. It's a little bit of a walk to that other monorail to Epcot and back, and
Hmm.
you actually can go into the park without paying. I mean, it's
Yeah.
only going to be for 3 minutes as you loop around Spaceship Earth, but it gives you some great views of Epcot, and it's
Yeah.
completely free. It doesn't cost you anything to do that. The resorts, just about every resort on every night when it's a clear night, they do movies outside. They show Disney
Okay.
movies outside for free. When you could go and watch a movie, and they have these big inflatable screens, and you can sit and watch a movie. Uh, Yeehaw Bob at Port Orleans Riverside is probably one of the funniest, best shows on Disney property, and it's completely free.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure, you can order some wings or a drink while you're there. If you bring your resort mug, you could go refill your resort mug
Yeah.
for no charge. That's right connected to Yeehaw Bob's little spot. Uh, a lot of the resorts they have like marshmallow in the evening. Fort Wilderness will
Okay.
have the fire pit, and you can cook marshmallow. I think Port Orleans Riverside does it as well, where
Okay.
you can for a tiny fee do open fire marshmallow s'mores type thing. Um, I know Pop Century has you can do a tie dye T-shirt at the
Okay.
resort, and you don't have to be staying there to do that. You just have to kind of find out what time they're doing this, and you go there and you sign up, and it's not very expensive. It's actually quite. It's again that could be part of your inexpensive souvenirs
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
way cheaper than a Disney T-shirt and you make your own Mickey Mouse tie dye T-shirt
Okay.
where
Yeah.
you get to bring home with you. And I've done that. And it's a lot of fun. It's really cool. Mine didn't turn out very well. Never to wear it ever. Next time I go, I'll know how to do it better. But there's just so much stuff to do. I've done canoeing at Fort Wilderness on a day off. There's archery at Fort Wilderness. There's a lot to do. Again, what's there's a Cirque du Soleil show
Yeah. Yeah.
at Disney
Cirque du
Springs,
Soleil, drawn to life at Disney
Drawn to
Springs.
Life.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not going to be free, but it's something extra that you can do on your day off day.
Yeah.
And I find those day off days they just recharge my battery enough that the next 2 days are I'm full of energy for the next 2 days again.
Yeah.
They're more relaxed.
Yeah.
Easter time, the Contemporary has the Easter eggs on display, the chocolate eggs on display. At Christmas time, oh my gosh, any resort you go to is going to be decorated for Christmas,
Yeah.
and you're going to
Yeah.
get some. You can take some beautiful photos. Take a picture of every Christmas tree you see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I love the last time we went to Walt Disney World was November 2021. And the reason we did that, I was presenting somewhere, but I specifically wanted to go in at that time in November because it's not busy, but everything's decorated for Christmas. And so it was, I mean, it is beautiful wherever you go. that, you see all of these decorations and everything. And then, it's also kind of, you see this beautiful Christmas tree, and then you walk outside and it's like 90 degrees still, 98 degrees. It's a little bit of shock to your system,
Yeah.
but it is really fun. Before we get to the rapid questions, is there anything else that I have skipped over, that you think is important to let people know, about going to Disney and doing it without breaking the bank?
Yeah. So there's two things. One is you have to plan it out and you have to kind of like set your mind to it. My I didn't go to Disney World until I was an adult. In fact, my oldest one was 15
Okay.
the first time I went. And it was the type of thing like I grew up in a small town in Canada, a bit further north. And I used to hear about Walt Disney World and Disneyland, and I would say to my mom, "We have to go to Disney World. We have to go to Disneyland." As a kid, and my mom would be, "We're not going. Get it out of your head. It's too expensive. It's too far away. It's never going to happen."
Yeah.
So that was kind of like the trigger that okay, I'm going to go to Disney World. At the time was Disneyland. I'm going to go to Disneyland someday. So then when I got married, so I said to my new wife, I said, "I really want to go to Disneyland someday. We should go to Disneyland." She goes, "Yeah, that sounds good. We should go to Disneyland." Well, next you know, we have one child, and a couple years later, we have another child, and it's not cheap.
Yeah.
Well, I knew it, my oldest one was 14 already. She's a teenager, and I'm like, okay, if we don't go now, we're never going to go.
Yeah.
So I don't care what it takes, we're going. So I booked it, started saving for it, started putting aside money and all this and that, and we went a year later. We booked it a year in advance, and we saved for that year. I set up that special account and I put into it. So by the time we were to go, we had everything paid for. We did the
Hmm.
dining plan. We had the resort. Everything was covered, and we just made it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what we did. What I don't suggest you do is to not save for it, and I'm just going to put it on my credit card. I'll make monthly payments for the next 8 years to pay
Yeah.
it off. Don't do that.
Yeah.
It's not. Honestly, it's not worth it. It's really not worth it. To go into debt on a vacation. But yeah, if you want to do it, plan it, do it.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you for those. And one thing that I've mentioned before that Stan does is he does a ton of research, and he comes very, very well prepared, to anything that he does. So I appreciate you sending over, your notes. I appreciate you doing all of the research. When I reached out to Stan, I said, I want you to walk us through, how to do this, because, and so thank you very, very much for doing that. I have 5 quick rapid questions like we typically do. And so since you've been on the show a few times, we've covered the parks and we've covered all of this. These are going to focus on being there, by yourself, or being there on a budget. So the first question is, and do you what is your favorite story to tell about saving money at Disney? So basically, like, what is your Stan win? Like, this was a win in your book. We all have those that we love to tell people. What's yours?
So I don't know. Okay, this is something you can't do anymore. But back in the day, before when Disney Springs was called Downtown Disney, there used to be a gas station that was walking distance from Downtown Disney.
Okay.
And so my plan was, well, this is like, I think this was like my second time going. I was with my
Okay.
daughter. So she would have been 16 at the time. So I had this crazy plan. I'm going to get water for our trip. I'm going to get bottles of water. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to take my suitcase, empty it out. It has the wheels on it. And I'm going to walk to this gas station and buy a couple of cases of water and put it in the suitcase and then walk it back and take Disney transportation. So, so, so we go to get on the boat. And I guess you weren't allowed on the boat with a suitcase
Oh, okay.
from Port Orleans Riverside to downtown Disney at the time. but they did allow it on the bus. So we took the bus from Port Orleans Riverside to downtown Disney. I think it was 150 degrees that day. It was I don't know how hot it was, but oh my gosh, was it hot. So the plan was we're going to walk to this gas station from downtown Disney. Uh, it was like I think that was the hottest day I've ever had at Disney World. And we got to the gas station. My daughter was absolutely wiped. I was completely exhausted. We ran across the hot. There was actually at the time there was. That's why I say you can't do it anymore because there was actually was a crosswalk to get
Yeah.
across the highway there. Now it's just cars going. You
Yeah.
can't do it anymore. Anyways, we got two I think 48 cases of water and put it in our suitcase and
Okay.
a bunch of chips and all that. And we got back, but wow, did we waste a lot of time and a lot of effort and sweat and everything to get this water. So yeah, it was a fun story. I mean, you can look back at it now, but and then I think
Yeah.
we only drank half of it. And I ended up leaving
Well,
one of the cases in the laundry room because
and walking back with all of that, I mean, carrot like dragging all of that or wheeling all of that water back to the butt. Oh
yeah,
man. Yeah.
yeah.
So
I'm lucky a wheel didn't break off of my suitcase because I would have just been down the case.
so the next question was actually what what's a stand fail? Like going
Okay,
and
you know
trying
what?
to save money?
So
What is
let's switch this around.
yeah,
Okay, so that one I just told you that would be my
that one was the
fail.
fail. What's the
That one was the
win?
fail. Now this is a win. So we were there and hurricane is coming. Hurricane Irma, I think it was.
Okay.
So anyways, we were supposed to actually be going on a cruise. We were doing a couple days at Walt Disney World, and then we were going to take a cruise on the Fantasy, and then we're going to do a couple more days at Disney World after the trip back. So I'm sitting in Fantasia. I get a message from my travel agent saying that our cruise is canceled.
Okay.
Um, so it's like, okay, well, our flight home isn't for another week because we're supposed to be going on the 7 day cruise, and then saying, it's gonna be over a week before our flight home.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be doing the cruise like in a couple of days. So we're basically stuck in Walt Disney World with no hotel room, no cruise to go on, and no flight home. So our travel agent took care of it. She does again. This is a great part about having a travel agent. She able to get us to extended stay at Pop Century. So that was taken care of. But the last time there was a hurricane and they shut everything down, they shut down all the restaurants and everything. You couldn't, or I think they opened up a couple of. I think what they did was in each resort they had like rations, like not really rations, but you could buy like a sandwich. Like you couldn't buy the regular
Yeah.
meals. It was like it was like a lunch bag. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was very expensive, and we were at the furthest room possible from the courthouse, from the food court. So what I did was we went to Disney Springs and we went to Earl Sandwich and we ordered pretty much one of everything on their menu.
Okay.
I think I came home with like I don't know 9 sandwiches or something like that. It wasn't that many. It was probably about 5. Anyway, and we stuffed them in that little fridge in the
Yeah.
room. And we weren't allowed to leave our room for a day and a half because of the hurricane. And
Yeah.
we rode up the hurricane and ate sandwiches and sat in our room and watched Disney television all day.
Oh,
So
cool.
so that
Uh,
was kind of a win. Like
yeah.
we made you know I used my budget sense in planning
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
yeah
And it makes for, I mean, well, both of them make for great stories, but
yeah.
both of them make for great memories also to look back and
And
laugh
Earl
on. That
Sandwich is an
one,
amazing
especially.
quick service restaurant too.
Yes, it is. I love Earl of Sandwich. The third one is okay. So you said go for 5 days if it's your first time. What is your advice for, let's say, somebody who has maybe they've been a few times, they've been with their family, they've never had to think about any of this. They're going to be in the Orlando area for 2 days and they want to go see Disney parks. Um, what is your advice for those 2 days for them?
Well, it kind of depends on what their interests are. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if you went to
They want
Disney,
to
that
go
would
to Disney parks. They want to go
yeah.
to a Disney. Yeah.
Yeah. So like the gut reaction is saying, well, go to Hollywood Studios and or go to Magic Kingdom and Epcot.
Okay.
That's what the gut reaction is. But honestly, my favorite park is Hollywood Studios.
Hmm.
So if it was me, I'd want to go because I like Star Wars. I like the Muppets. You know,
Yeah.
I like the 50s tone of the Hollywood Studios. I love the Toy Story Land. So for myself, I would say, well, I'm going to do Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. Now, my daughter, her favorite park is Animal Kingdom. So she's going to want to do Animal Kingdom and Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends on the person. I'm sure, Cody, you probably have your two favorites.
Yeah, well, and what's interesting is if I'm there for one day, I Magic Kingdom is always a must. So if I'm there for one day, I do a park hopper and I usually do Magic Kingdom. And then I do Epcot because it's easy to get over on the monorail.
Hmm.
Hollywood Studios, it Magic Kingdom's my favorite, and then it's probably Hollywood Studios with Epcot right behind it.
Yeah.
So that does make it a little tough now. Now, one thing you can do in my case would be start at Magic Kingdom, take the monorail to Epcot, and you could actually take the Skyliner over to Hollywood Studios and then back because Epcot usually is open longer than Hollywood Studios. Um, so like I guess that's what I would do if I had one day. But so it sounds like if you're going for 2 days, you and you want to see things, getting a park hopper is probably a good idea.
Yeah, that's I never even thought of that, but yeah, for sure, Park Hopper is a really good idea. Uh, and you know what, you could probably do. It's hard to get between Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom so far away too.
Yeah,
But yeah, you probably could do Magic Kingdom and Epcot one day, and Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom another day.
yeah.
If you're
The
doing
the
that, that's a great point. Yeah.
the
And
first
in
time
that
we
case, I
went,
would do Animal Kingdom in the morning and Hollywood Studios at night because I think Hollywood
yeah,
Studios is more beautiful at night than it is during the day. And I
yeah.
would probably do reverse of you though. I would probably do Epcot in the morning and then Animal King or Magic Kingdom in the evening
Okay. All right.
is what I would do because I think Magic Kingdom has the better nighttime spectacular,
Yeah.
and I think Magic Kingdom looks a bit nicer at night than. I mean, Epcot's beautiful at night also, but I think you get more of the Magic Kingdom at night than you do Epcot.
Okay. All right. The
Makes the
fourth
park
one,
look so good though,
yeah, it
with
does.
all the twinkly
Especially
lights.
yeah, especially with the new show that they
Yeah,
have going on with
yeah.
the new effects. This next one is your favorite Disney detail, that hidden detail that a lot of people don't know about,
Hmm.
that you love showing people if maybe they're going with you, and maybe they don't know that thing that has become known as people know Stan is going to show them this detail. What's your favorite one?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. Oh man. Well, this one I actually okay, I learned this one from Lou Mangello, and I think it is the coolest thing. In Fantasyland, there's a barrel, and
Okay.
on the barrel, it's written, I think it says fire department or something like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
on this barrel. And it looks like just a prop. Like it's something that's kind of like, well, Disney put that there for whatever reason. You don't really know why until you lift the barrel up and you look underneath it. Well, underneath it, it's a fire hydrant.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and if you don't have the barrel there, the fire hydrant stands out like a sore thumb because it's a modern thing and it's in Fantasyland. But as soon
Yeah.
as you put the barrel on it, it kind of hides it. And of course, the Reedy Creek Fire Department knows that this is a fire
Yeah.
hydrant and where to go to hook up their hoses if they ever need to.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really, really cool detail
Yeah.
that unless you know, you don't know.
Yeah.
The
And
River
then
Pooh is cool.
what's that?
The River Pooh, of course, everybody has to talk about that
That
one.
so that's my go-to when I'm there with my kids because that is the
Mhm.
one that it's like everybody inevitably you're walking in the middle because typically that's what people do. You walk in the middle and when you point that out, then everybody's like, "Oh, gross," and they kind of run off. It's kind of fun. One that I haven't seen that I want to see is There's a man named Randy Powell who he did what was called the Last Lecture series, and he was a big Disney fan. And he actually the story goes he passed away a few months after he did the Last Lecture series because he was terminally ill when he did it. I think at Carnegie Mellon University, but there is a plaque with his quote with a quote of his in Fantasyland near the it's either near the carousel or near the tea party.
Mm.
I can't remember which. And so when I go and have some time that I'm just wandering around looking, that's something that I want to be able to see and take a picture with, and that'll be as the boys get older, that will be the one that I like pointing out the most after the River of Pooh. Um, or after they're
Love it.
bored with the River of Pooh, I guess.
Yeah,
The
I
last
love
one
those
is
details.
yeah, the last one is what's your favorite Disney transportation? Since we were talking about um being able to get all over the property without paying for Uber or park a car.
Yeah. So it's funny because I don't do anything with heights or spins or drops or goes too fast. But my favorite mode of transportation is the Skyliner, which
Yeah,
has its heights and has its
yeah,
speed. I mean, it goes reasonably, it doesn't go that fast, but yeah, like I don't like looking down on height, but I love the Skyliner.
yeah.
It's funny because when you first announced it, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to go on those things. Like, well, I'll try it. But yeah, I absolutely love the
Yeah,
Skyliner.
yeah, I agree that that's a lot of fun. And if I'm staying on property, I want to try to, if at all possible, I want to try to stay on that Skyliner route. It's a lot of
Yeah.
fun. So thank you for doing this, Stan. Again, for people who want to ask questions, engage more, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so follow the social medias. The solo show is probably the best way. I believe the email address is the solo show 01 at gmail.com. I
Okay.
don't know how I had to go why I had to go 01. I guess somebody else already had the solo show at gmail.com.
Yeah.
So the solo show 01 at gmail.com is the email address. Or just search Stan Solo on Facebook and you can send me a private message or friend request me or whatever. I don't really do I have it, but I don't really look at it, the Instagram and the Twitter
Okay.
and what's the new one? I don't even have the thread yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't done that yet either. So, all right. Well, Stan, thanks a lot for
Yes, thank you,
walking us
Cody.
through this. And this was a whole lot of fun. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.